We are back after the intermission here, and just still a delightful evening weather-wise. I'm Gary Lang, along with Mike Smith, for the second annual First State Drum Corps Classic from Caesar Rodney High School. The next group to come on to perform will be the Florida Wave from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and with us right now is the Corps Director, Joe Westman Trowbridge. Joe, welcome.
Thank you.
Your group here tonight, a lot of color, a lot of pastels and everything.
I'd like to bring South Florida straight up here.
Uh-huh. What are we going to be hearing from them?
Coconut Champagne is the opener, Full on the Hill, Cuban Candy, into Look of Love, and then Tito.
Okay. They're getting ready down there, and the weather here, it's a nice cool evening. Does that help the unit?
Yes, it does. Yes. We left weather down there well in the 90s, and yesterday up in Boston froze ourselves to no end. But coming here, this is very nice. This is really going to work out very well for us.
You left Florida when?
On the 23rd.
And yesterday you were in Boston.
Yes.
And today you're in Delaware.
Yes.
You've been doing some traveling.
Oh, yes. We have a show every day for the next 7 days.
Where do you go from here?
From here, we go down to Salem, Virginia.
That's tomorrow?
Yes.
And then where?
On up to, let me think.
Does this route take you back to Florida?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Slowly but surely we get down there. We have 2 shows in Florida this year, and that'll finalize in Orlando, and then home from there.
Okay. Thank you for coming up and talking to us.
I appreciate it very much. Hope you enjoy the show.
We are. We are. All right. So the Florida Wave from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. They were ranked number 5 last year in the country in the 1986 World Championship. Thank you. the country last year. You can see why. Coconut Champagne, the name of that. Next, the Beatles' Fool on the Hill. Fool on the Hill. I'm going to correct something I said earlier. I said they were the number 5 organization in the country last year. They were actually number 19.
In the open class, that's correct.
The number 5 drum corps from last year is coming up yet tonight. They're also from Florida.
They're also Florida, that's right, Suncoast Sound.
It's called Cuban Candy.
last 4 years. They reorganized in 1981. Have really come a long way in the open class.
Next, they'll be doing the Look of Love. Strong with a selection called Tito.
Good crowd please.
The Florida Wave, number 19 in the country last year. 128 members in this group.
That's the maximum allowed by DCI rules.
That is a very large color guard unit.
Yes, it is. Thank you.
32 members in the auxiliary.
Yeah, watching the color changes between every song was absolutely phenomenal. They opened up with a very bright and brilliant many-colored flag, went to an almost, not exactly bland, but a totally white flag, and then to an orange.
They'll score very high, of course, on visual effect with all the color and the movement, free-flowing movement as well.
That's right. Visually, yes, they kept their forms pretty well. They did have some problems, as is usual at this time of the season. It's still early. I mean, they have a lot of time to improve the show before August 15th when the championships are going on.
International rules, no pictures are to be taken.
Of course, right now they are setting up for the Crossmen from Westchester, Pennsylvania, the organization with the shortest trip here.
That's right. The Crossmen probably should be the home crowd favorite. It's the closest one to our stadium here in Delaware, closest court that we have. So they should give a good crowd reaction when they enter the field.
They probably had a good number of their supporters that were able to make the trip down here.
That's right. Oh, there also, in the past few years, have been quite a number of students from the area, in the Dover area, that have participated in this corps, which makes it also more exciting for the people in this area. Crossmen are sort of reorganizing themselves after some director changes, and it sounds like they're going to be pretty good this year. From what I've heard, they scored very well in the last 2 weeks.
And Greg Wood. Directed by Scott Litzenberg. Assistant directors include Denise Golden.
While they are setting up for Crossmen on the field, we can take a break and we'll return with Westchester, Pennsylvania's Crossmen in just a moment. How High School, there are 2 drum corps left in the competition this evening. And during that break, Mike and I were watching the pit crew. And that's a term that comes out of auto racing, but really, they're kind of similar in what they have to do. Quick work in the pits.
Yeah, that's a lot of it. Also comes from Broadway musicals also, where the orchestra pit was always in front of the stage and sort of out of sight. But in this case, certainly they aren't out of sight. They're right up in front. It gives us a lot more chance to work with a lot of musicality because they're not having to worry about marching. You can certainly see them have a chance to work more just on the musical aspects, and it really makes some nice transition in between tunes when just the pit plays by themselves.
Gives another effect for the audience to enjoy. Crossmen from Westchester, also a pretty large organization. They'll bring out 124 members, 58 members in the brass, 37 percussionists, 28 in the color guard, and of course their commander for 128.
Yeah, the Crossmen, of course, are one of the top 25 finalists from last year. They tied last year for 21st place. I think they've come a long way in the last couple years. They've been known for the Crossmen. I see there's some uniform changes. They used to have a cross right up on their chest of the uniform. I see that's gone a little bit. They've got Aussie hats, which is also new. Okay, a totally different look here.
We mentioned that they had the shortest trip here of anybody in any of the 6 organizations. They have got a 10,000-mile trip planned for later this year. They will travel about 10,000 miles on a 4-week tour that'll end up at the DCI World Championships in Madison, Wisconsin.
That's right. 3rd week in July, I believe, when most of the corps. There's a small break for all of the corps in the middle of July to return to home base, for sort of sake. And then they do the last 4 weeks right up to the championships. A very important 4 weeks for all the corps. They have to clean things up, tighten up their ensemble, and really work hard for that final.
They'll have about 30 competitions, a couple of preliminary contests, parades, and exhibitions. But with a 10,000-mile trip coming up, this was like a drive down the block.
That's nothing. That's absolutely right. Last year they had a fantastic drum on, I thought, and I'm certainly looking for that again this year. Okay.
As they bring the rest of the members onto the field, the judges waiting to get the sign that they are ready to begin.
Judges ready?
Judges indicate they're ready.
Is the corps ready?
From Westchester, Pennsylvania, the Corpsmen, and they'll begin with George Gershwin's Summertime.
Salute from the drum major. Nice color.
Everyone would approve.
Nice arrangement of that old standard.
This is the first group we've seen tonight that has a rifle team.
That's
which
right.
also adds a very different visual effect as they use them twirling, throwing, spinning.
Also called their work, yes, when they're doing that. It's a nice effect. Some corps have gotten away from it because it's not quite as visual as the large silks can be.
A lot of visual changes in there as the flag bearers change their flags.
impressive percussion line.
Finished number 21 in the finals last year. Outstanding effect as the pink flag suddenly burst open.
Now there's color for you. Lots of changes, especially against the black uniforms.
And they're helped a bit by the fact that it's dark now.
Yes. I tell you, the uniform, I do like the design for some things. The gold glitter on the black uniforms almost gives it a 3D effect on that.
Yeah.
It gives them depth. It really gives them a lot of depth. Almost makes the corps look bigger than they really are.
The folks watching on television can see that there's a lot of glittery effect to the gold on the uniforms. I can tell you the same thing is happening here if you're watching it live, too. So that is Crossmen from Westchester, Pennsylvania. I was quite struck, especially listening to Crossmen there doing that last selection, by the range of sound from the horns. I think we need to impress upon our viewers that it's simply bugles. It's not all the other horns with which you're familiar. There's no trumpets, no saxophones, no flutes. It's all bugles. There are 3 different types of bugles.
Oh, actually, there's a little bit more than that. There are 8 different ranges of bugles. I'll start going all the way from the lowest instrument, the biggest, which looks something like a tuba, is called a contra, and going all the way to the very highest, called a piccolo bugle. Okay, and there's 8 different ranges within those. Okay, and giving us certainly a large range, just as much as you can get with a full band. However, the sound is a homogeneous sound because they are all bugles, and they're all pitched in the same key, unlike band instruments.
That's why you can get that wide range of sound, that very dynamic sound, and it all blends so beautifully.
Oh, beautiful. I really would like to see more original music written for the drum corps. These arrangements are great, and it's fantastic crowd pleasers, but love to see some original music by some more notable composers.
As this continues to grow, you probably will.
Yes. In the finals last year, there were I believe 40,000 people, and this year they've already sold that many advance tickets. It has been growing at a tremendous rate in the last 5 years.
That may be the next step for a band to really be more creative and daring and different, is to do all original music.
Yes, no doubt. Suncoast Sound, who's coming up next, was the first corps ever to do that. They did that 2 years ago, an entire original show. Okay, they're back to doing arrangements this year, but fantastic idea. I hope it does come back soon, because it's a great way to get the more people involved, notable composers, and it really is becoming a state of the art.
And of course, by doing that, they can take and really apply things for the individual instruments rather than trying to adapt another type of music to the idea of the drum corps.
That's right. We have the Crossmen coming across the field in retreat. Very good drum line this year. I think they will move up in the standings. They came in 21st last year. If they keep at the pace they're going right now, they have a good chance of moving up in possibly close to the top 12, if not in it itself.
Well, the drum corps coming on next is the one that finished number 5 last year. Florida Wave was number 19, and Crossmen was number 21. Suncoast Sound, Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay. As you said, these corps finished 5th. They also had the top horn line, or tied with the top horn line with the corps that did win it. So you certainly will hear some good brass tonight with this group. They have a good reputation as an excellent brass line and mostly play jazz style. They call it Sun Jazz.
And they'll have 128 members out there. Their theme is My Fair Lady.
Yes.
Their own arrangement.
That's right. It's a Stan Kenton arrangement of the music from the musical itself. And they, of course, adapted it for Drum and Bugle Corps. I believe they open Get to the Church on Time as their opener, and it should be quite exciting. They had a clinic here this afternoon where they did just the opener for us and showed us how they rehearsed it and showed us what is involved in actually teaching just a few minutes of drill and how many hours are involved in teaching these few minutes of drill. It was kind of interesting to see that, especially we all as band directors and people in bands know how much time it does take to put on a show, but these people are trying to perfect it if there is such thing as perfect.
You not only have musicians, you also have to have the choreographic effects and the blocking. That all comes separately from the music, too.
That's right. You'll be looking, I know they also happen to have rifle for some of the songs in this in their production this year. They've also have 2 solo dancers right at the very beginning. And if you watch for that, that really takes your eyes almost to them.
So as they set up on the field here, Suncoast Sound will break away, and we'll return with the last drum corps for tonight in just a moment. We're back for the last drum corps for the evening. From Tampa Bay, Florida, this is Suncoast Sound, number 5 in the country last year, with My Fair Lady their way.
Okay. You can see that Suncoast has kept a more traditional military uniform compared to, say, the other Florida group who wore a more laid-back uniform depicting where they come from, southern Florida. I feel this is one of the best jazz groups playing jazz music as far as the brass line goes in drum corps. You can see they have boxes off to the side over there. These are for different changes and different effects in the actual drill itself.
Suncoast Sound, you may take to the field for competition.
Keep your eyes on the soloist in the middle. sound very nicely. Choreography. Nice job.
They continue with music from My Fair Lady. dynamic performance by Suncoast Sound.
They close with a reprise of their opener, Give Me to the Church on Time. Very nice arrangement for the Drum and Bugle Corps here. Nice guard work, nice choreography, nice dancing in the beginning. I really enjoyed that, the male dancers with the hat and cane bit. Brings a lot back to the musical itself.
If they were 5th in the country last year, wouldn't you love to have seen numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4?
Yes, fantastic shows, just fantastic shows. These corps get better every year, and as a matter of fact, their scores go up. The score is out of a possible of 100 points. Last year, the champion had a 98.5, so the scores have gone up quite a bit in past years.
It becomes more competitive, more difficult all the time. It's come a long way from World War I veterans and John Philip Sousa to Broadway, the Beatles, and choreographed dancers on the field, but it's today's drum corps in competition. We'll return with the results of the judges' scoring in just a moment. For the awards presentation, and we have with us a guest. His name is Larry Clark. He is one of the brass instructors for the Suncoast Sound in Tampa Bay, the last group that was on. Fine performance.
Thank you.
From your viewpoint, when you go to them now later on tonight or tomorrow, what are you going to say to them? What were you looking for?
Basically, they had a good performance tonight. This was our first performance of the year. What I was
shakeout.
Yeah. What I was looking for mainly was that they had a performance. There was some problems in the performance, and we'll, of course, rehearse for those and make them better tomorrow. But overall, they put their best effort forward tonight, and I think it's their best performance. We did a premiere performance down in Tampa Bay.
Put you on the spot.
Okay.
If you were a judge, how would you rank them?
Well, honestly, I didn't see the other corps here tonight because I was getting them prepared for the contest.
You jumped out of that one very adroitly. The only other question, tomorrow you go where?
We go to Westchester, Pennsylvania, and we're doing a show there tomorrow night.
And what's the itinerary now for the next couple of weeks?
We're going around the East Coast, and we'll end up back at the end of first tour down in Tampa. There'll be a couple shows down in Florida, and then we'll have a few days off, and then we'll start our trek back up north, and we'll go all the way up as far as Canada, and then all the way into Allentown, Pennsylvania, and then over into Wisconsin for the championships in Madison.
How is a group like that funded? How do you make the money?
Our main funding is through bingo. We run a bingo hall 12 months out of the year, and the winter time is our biggest in Tampa Bay area because of the winter people would come down to Florida. But also major funding comes from sponsors, and we have various sponsors such as Pearl Drum Companies, Zildjian, the Commerce Bank of Florida, and Circle K Corporation, which is a food chain similar to 7-Eleven. Bigger, but will be bigger soon.
Okay. You can go home and tell them they all got a plug in Delaware.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much, Larry,
Thank you
for joining us for a moment. As the drum major from each group is coming forward for the awards presentation. At this point, we are as much in the dark as far as the winners in the various categories as is the audience in the stands. There are only a couple of people that know what the results are. There is a scorer's table that is now empty. Those results have been carried up. They walked right in front of us with them, but I couldn't read them that quickly, and given to the judges in the press box.
Yeah, remember, Gary, the judges are scoring overall on 100 points. Each judge is given either 10 or 15 points, depending on their caption that they're judging, to give to these corps. They add up points by the tabulator, and then the scores are given out. We don't know them. Nobody knows them.
Suncoast Sound.
High percussion. The award for high percussion goes to Suncoast Sound.
High brass.
Michael Dugan and Kevin Ford, the drum majors.
Suncoast Sound.
And the brass, Suncoast Sound. Should make our last guest, Larry Clark, pretty happy. Again, Michael Dugan and Kevin Ford will receive those plaques, or that plaque. We await the next result here from the PA announcer, Tom Dutton.
The best color guard.
Best color guard
Florida Wave.
goes to the Florida Wave. And the great visual effect of that orange and blue.
Yes, good color changes.
Best general effect.
The best general effect
Suncoast Sound.
goes to Suncoast Sound. Once again, Michael Dugan and Kevin Ford, the drum majors, come forward. They actually switched off during the performance, too.
That's right.
The winners of tonight's competition. We've been informed that if you like pizza, you're going to love Domino's.
All right.
Stop by.
Tom Dutton here getting a little plug in to try to get some pizza. 3 out of 4 of the top 4 awards. 3 out of 4 of the awards go to Suncoast Sound.
Suncoast Sound. It looks good for them in the finals, of course.
6th place with a score of 34.8.
34.8 score.
The Bridgemen.
The Bridgemen from Hudson, Middlesex counties in New Jersey. The first drum corps that we saw this evening. Brian, Lee Wetherington, the drum major.
For 5th place this evening with a
That is
score
a 6th place finish for Bridgemen.
Sancians.
41.6 score is good for 5th place, and that goes to Sancians. And the drum major Robert Boyd receives that award. In 4th place, 45.5 score.
The Diplomats.
Diplomats from Malden, Massachusetts. And the drum major will come forward to receive that award.
Excitement builds.
Now, down to the top 3.
Finishers with a score of 54.6.
54.6 score.
Crossmen.
Crossmen of Westchester, Pennsylvania.
That's right. Local home crowd.
So now,
We're down to the final 2.
find out who is number 2.
2nd place.
That'll be the next score. 2nd place,
With a score of
61.7 score.
Florida Wave.
Florida Wave, which means after taking 3 out of 4 awards, Suncoast Sound will be the winner this evening.
Yes, those awards are, of course, based on the judges' scores, so again, they do have a direct effect on the score itself.
In 1st place, all alone, with a score of 71.9.
71.9 is the score.
First time out this year, Gary. That's their first score this year.
That's
I'm
pretty
sure they're
good
happy
shakedown
about
for them.
that. Yeah, I'm sure they're very happy about that. It's a good way to start the season in the 70s.
So the scores range from 34.8 for Bridgemen, Sancians with 41.6, Diplomats 45.5, Crossmen 54.6, Florida Wave 61.7, and Suncoast Sound 71.9. There are the results, and the awards are given out.
My opinion. Unfortunately, I was not a judge.
I was interested sitting here next to you, Mike, watching as they were announcing the actual scores. You wrote them down next to the names of the bands, and you were right on the mark on every one of them. You knew.
Well,
you had an idea.
You start to get used to it after a few years of doing this. You can take an idea when they're going to come in.
Well, you hit them right, and most of the people here this evening, I believe, think the judges hit it right.
Yeah, it was a good crowd. I think the crowd was really entertained tonight. We saw, again, scores ranging from 34.8 to 71.9. It gives us a nice range of talent and performance ability. It's great to see them this early in the year because in August, it's just phenomenal how far they'll go with the same show.
Some of the members of the audience apparently wanted an encore, and I don't believe we're going to get one here this
I
evening.
think we might. Suncoast Sound.
Suncoast Sound gearing up like they might do one for us.
Yes, I believe the other corps will march off the field in the order of the places.
All right, we're going to take a break away here to see what's going to happen, and we'll return with either an encore performance or some final words in just a moment. To do an encore performance. Mike Smith, Caesar Rodney Junior High School band director, enjoyed having a chance to work with you here this evening.
You also, Gary. Right now, the 6 directors of the corps are with the judges, listening to their critique of their performance. They want to get all the help they can for their next performance and on their way to the road to the championships in Madison, Wisconsin.
They all go off in different directions to different competitions at this point, some north, some south, and some of them just heading home for a little bit of a rest. I want to thank Joe Klein and his outstanding crew from Storer Cable. Gave us some beautiful visuals here tonight, and we hope you enjoyed the program. Thanks for joining us. I'm Gary Lang for Mike Smith. We'll close out this evening and let you hear the music of Suncoast Sound.